Okay, you want to know the truth about alimony, how it sits? I've been through 2 divorces and I got hit on alimony on both. The first one at age 33, I got lifetime maintenance that I paid for 18 years. The second time I got hit for alimony, I learned my lesson. I didn't go to trial. I negotiated a lump sum over basically 4 years. Let's talk about it. It sucks, but you're going to get hit with alimony for certain things. What I'm going to basically try to talk to you about is you need to know the truth, and your attorney's not going to tell you this. The attorney's just going to say, oh, by the way, this is what happened. They don't come up with any solutions. That's not their job. Their job is for you to know what's going on, and then you make a decision that you can live with. Because the bottom line here is once you negotiate alimony, that's an obligation. It's worse than Uncle Sam. Believe me, because he'll throw you in court. That's what today's session is going to be. I got a song here. I like to have a theme song back in the day. Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who. That's another one I'm using because I've been fooled so many times. So let's talk about it. This is basically my script. I want to get through it quickly because my audience are basically saying, Rock, my videos are too long. So I'm going to shorten them up and then have some clips for you and some shorts to keep your attention. Number 1 is the truth. Number 2, we're going to talk about the state that you're in. You need to know there's 3 different types of alimony that are discussed, and that doesn't include attorney fees. It doesn't include child support. It doesn't include temporary relief. This is strictly alimony. From once you're divorced, they're going to cut some type of a deal. They're going to push you to the point where you're going to have to pay alimony. In the state of Florida, here's what we got. Now, I wish I would have known this. I probably wasn't listening because I was trying to cut my own deal. I wanted to get out so bad. But I'm going to give you an example. State of Florida. Marriage duration classifications and alimony caps. Learn the lingo, guys, especially men, because men pay alimony 90%. Women pay alimony only 3%. I'm talking from the male point of view, okay, which is me. All right. There's a short-term marriage, less than 10 years. That is eligible for durational alimony if married at least 3 years. Durational is basically during this time, they try to educate you. They try to figure out your finances and all this. And believe me, your opponent, which is your spouse, is always going to ask for more money, life size, I can't work, I don't want a license, I don't want to better myself. That's all negotiable. And don't forget the clock's running. That's the problem. You're dealing with attorneys. This is why I keep talking about pro se. Go pro se. Alimony is capped at 50% of the marriage length. So let's say, for an example, less than 10 years, let's say it's 5 years. They're going to hit you for 2.5 years. Can you live with 2.5 years of alimony? I would do it. Why? Get the hell out. Because it's not long term. What this tells me is, if you're going to go through a divorce and if you got the instincts like I did, but I didn't go with them, if you know you're not going to go for the long term, especially in today's generation, cut it short, man. Cut your losses. It's like business or a stock. Get the hell out. Cut loose. Yeah, if you got kids, take care of the kids. I'd rather take care of the kids than the old lady or the old man, whatever you want to call it, your ex. All right, number 2, moderate term is 10 to 20 years. That alimony is capped at 60%. So 6 years out of 10 years or 12 years out of 20 years, and it's all negotiable. They're going to figure it out. You're going to have to fight for every penny. Don't agree until you really know your numbers and if you could afford it reasonably. Because don't forget, you're paying attorney fees right away, and you got child support until they're 18, minimum 18. There might even be a discussion about after. Because the kids, you're going to help them through college. You will. Long-term marriage is 20 years plus. My parents were married 74 years. There was no divorce, no alimony. And that was that generation. My family, multiple divorces. Me, I'm the only one that paid alimony. Why? I had assets. And I picked the wrong horse. And in their families, on both sides, the woman that I picked, both of them had divorce in their family. So that's historic. The other thing to know is what type of heritage do they have? Not to judge, just to know what their culture is. I married a Colombian the second time around. The first one was a mix of English, German, and French. Okay? I'm Italian and Polish. I knew our traditions, and we were very close because our first generation, our grandparents, immigrants, they taught us how to live. They taught us how to work and so on. So alimony is capped at, sit down, 75% of marriage length. So if you're married 10 years, they're going to go for 7.5 years. Okay? And this is law. This is law. So that's where they're going to start. So you want to get a reduction of that. Not only the term, you also want to get a better understanding of your finances, what you can really afford. Because I know guys that just want to get out, where they end up paying excessively just to get out. Or their past income, all of a sudden they're laid off or fired or lost their job or health or disability. They're stuck with that number, man. They're stuck with that number. So be very careful. Have an understanding. All right? Now, the note is durational alimony is not awarded for marriages under 3 years. Though bridge the gap alimony may apply. Bridge the gap is, let's say you're married 3 years and there's no alimony. It's got to be less than 3 years. In other words, if you divorce 2.5 years, they might say, you know what, how about 50 grand to get me an education or do something? You know what I mean? That's negotiable. Okay? And that's attorneys. And by the way, you go with attorneys, it's going to cost you 50 grand to negotiate. It's bullshit. That's why I say pro se. Everything is negotiable. Try to work with your spouse where it's negotiable. Children come first, but don't forget that's an 18-year commitment as a parent. Okay? No problem. And then anything above that is additional through the generosity of being a parent. Okay? All right. Now, Florida alimony overview. As of July 1st, 2023, and I was in the process of being divorced in 2022, this wouldn't have held up though. Florida has eliminated permanent alimony. Those poor suckers before July 1st got permanent alimony. They're done. You got to go back to court to try to negotiate, and believe me, it's not going to work. The primary forms now include bridge the gap alimony, assist in short-term transition, maximum 2 years, non-modifiable. That's what happened to me. I couldn't modify it. Even if I got stuck, even if I died, my kids would have to, in my trust or whatever, would have to pay her off. Okay? Because I had a wife at that time. Rehabilitation alimony supports self-sufficiency through training. Requires a plan, maximum 5 years. That's another bullshit thing. Going back to school. I'm going to be a nurse. Nah, it doesn't happen. If you want to change it and you want to fight it and say, hey, that's not right, it's not justice, it's not right, you got to go back to court. It costs you money. There's no guarantees. You get in front of the judge, you're fucked. The judge don't care. You're just stuck. If you're making any money whatsoever, if you're flush and you got assets, they're going to look at your assets. They're not going to look at the spouse. They're going to look at your assets. Can you afford it? They'll judge whether you could afford it for the next 10 years, 15 years, or whatever. That's no shit. Durational alimony provides set term support based on marriage length when permanent alimony is inappropriate. Read in between the lines. There's no meaning. You know what words? They're going to talk about this forever, these attorneys. And guess what? You're paying attorney fees. Key considerations. Exceptional circumstances. Did you hear that? Exceptional. You're not exceptional. Neither was I. except can you afford it? Courts may extend alimony beyond caps. Yeah. If strongly justified. Age, health, finances. What if your ex-spouse says, you know what? I'm unhealthy. I got a medical problem. Attorneys are running this up. You got to get doctor appointments. You got to get reports. And there's privacy issues. I got osteoporosis. It's all bullshit. It's all negotiable. As I mentioned before, they'll throw as much spaghetti against the wall as they can. Modification and termination. Amount can change with life circumstances, but duration is typically fixed. That means it's agreed upon, it's done, you can't change it. Modification is not easy. You have to get an attorney. You got to get in front of the judge. It's not worth it, guys and women. It's not worth it. Get your deal ASAP up front. And don't forget, attorney fees hurt me more than the alimony. It really did. Child support, no problem. At the end of the day, you're going to take care of your kids anyway. All right? Income limits. Amount cannot exceed 35% of the income difference between parties. For full legal text, see Florida statutes, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you what happened to me when I was 33. My ex-wife was a housewife, even though she had a license in nursing. Didn't count. I was the breadwinner, and they took 85% of my take-home. Not 35%. It's been 40 years, but either way. This is why I've said I've lived with a guy for $300 for a room for over 3 years while I was going to Harvard Business School and running a business. Now I want to say if I had to do it all over again, because I put this in AI, I wanted it organized so I don't run 40 minutes like I usually do. If I had to do it all over again, I'd be strategic, intentional, and calm. File pro se if you're confident, but know your limits. In other words, go as far as you can, but I'd get a coach off the record, but you're filing everything as an individual. You could get a coach, and they'll recognize that because you're going to get an attorney. Can you find one? Sure you can. Sure you can. It's just documentation. They're going to give you what I just told you. Here's the rules, here's the regulations, here's what you can afford. But know your numbers, know your finance, and you hope to God that you're still working. When I was at 66, I filed under Social Security and a part-time gig as a consultant. Yeah. But they don't care because they're going to start looking at your assets and go, hold it. He's got some assets. Let's go after that. You see? I'm telling you. This is a long game, man. Figure 1 to 2 years. Slow it down. And don't expect quick resolutions. As I mentioned before, if I know this now, bifurcate. Get divorced first and then put everything else on the side. Because they'll hit you with temporary relief. But understand this, temporary relief after 6 months could change. So let's say, for an example, you're paying $1,000 a month for temporary service. That could carry over and be $2,000. It could be $3,000. They could change everything. But you keep good records, you could say, hey, this is all I can afford. They'll listen to that. Bifurcate, get legal divorce first, then handle finances later. It's a good solution, man. Florida, as of 2025, permanent, these are just notes. Permanent alimony is gone. That's good. Bridge the gap, maximum 2 years, no changes. Rehabilitation, maximum 5 years, needs a plan. They have to give a plan, say, listen, I'm going to go to FAU. I'm going to go to this school. I'm going to do that. I'm watching the kids. I might just go to school part-time. I need help. Put a plan together. Most people don't fulfill their promises. Let's get honest. They might have a friend on the side that might be a sucker. SugarDaddy.com, stupid.com. Us men, we're out there. All right. Florida alimony. Durational based on marriage length. We talked about that. 50% 10 years, 60% 10 to 20, 75% over 20 years. So think twice, guys. Don't forget, if you got a friend after, you got to be hesitant. I was single for 22 years. I was dating, I was engaged, but I said, listen, I'm not getting married until I finalize my obligations in the first marriage. 22 years later, that's another story how he settled that. Capped at 35% of income difference. So let's say you're making, let's make it easy, $100,000 today. They could get $35,000. Okay? It's capped in the state of Florida. Child support, check your state's outline calendar or calculator. It's online. Consider health insurance, education, and parenting time. Yeah. My kids went to private school, and I kept that thing going. Took the cost out of my 85%. Take home whatever I can do. That's why I tried to fix my overhead so I could right size and make sure I could take care of my kids so they couldn't miss out on a good life and opportunities. They've took advantage of the opportunity, and they're very successful today. Cost of divorce. Expect temporary relief motions early on. That's what I meant. You're going to be paying. In my second divorce, she was trying to get my house. I had to pay her while she was at my place at full price. It was like 50% of my income, which I was losing money while I was building the business. Still had to pay, and they ran it for 7 months until I said, enough is enough. That's when my attorney fired me because she didn't like the fact that I'm done. I'm closing this out. Cash register is gone. Okay. Here's a couple more tips. Cut the emotional ties early. Strictly business. Negotiate everything in writing. No gray areas. Anytime there's an offer or a suggestion, always email. You email it to the spouse, ex-spouse, not their attorneys, because you represent yourself. If they say, oh, no, you got to send us to, fine. CC the attorney. You don't owe them nothing. You want to make sure you're not paying them, okay? Hire a forensic accountant. That's smart. That's smart. They're going to hide money. My ex-wife's hid money, for sure. And you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. Because then you get the numbers right up front, and they're going to get really scared because they can't defend that. Facts are the facts. This is what your income is. So be completely transparent. Consider lump sum offers to get it over with. That's what I did. Fight for caps and deadlines. That's another thing. Caps is so much. Child support, so much. Child support, alimony, so much. Know the rules. Because if they're going to start above that, if you don't know the rules, then you come back, oh, here's a statute in my state. Now, we're starting at the max, and they're going to work backwards. They'll freak out when you know just as much as them. I'm talking about attorneys. Because attorneys aren't business people. No, they're not tax accountants. They're just trying to maximize their billings. We've talked about that. Look at some of my other videos. Use AI, which I didn't have in '88, and in this past year I've started to use it more and more. AI tools to research laws, knowledge, equal power. More knowledge, more understanding, the more power you got, you're going to be the person in command. We talked about permanent, bridge the gap, rehabilitation, and durational. If you're a business owner, protect yourself. Don't commingle business and personal funds. I have a video on that you got to look at. Keep accurate, separate records. Communicate only through lawyers when things get ugly. In other words, I wouldn't use an attorney today and just listen, here's my offer. Oh, we're going to sue you. Let them. It's all threats. It's all threats. You don't have to listen to that. The big threat is trial. But if they want to go to trial, and if you're strong, you got a strong case, and you got the numbers, they can't do shit. But you know what? Expect the worst. That's what I would do. I would expect the worst. No attorney, oh, he's a great attorney. No, there's not great attorneys. It's just high-priced guys. If they know you got assets or the spouse got assets, they're going to go for it. I gave you the truth. I gave you the state. I gave you alimony issues, and then I gave you options, what I would do. And what's our theme song again? Won't get fooled again? I'm giving you a heads up, man. Trust me. This shit works. Now, would I do it all over again? Nah. I'm talking about marriage. It's going to be really tough for me to remarry. Even though I love women, but I can't see why I would get married at 71 and plus. That's not my role today to talk to you about that. Do I have trust issues? I don't think so. I trust myself. I keep my promises. I did what I said I was going to do. And it's a great fulfillment when you achieve something like paying off that last alimony payment. That's the other thing. It's called Form 14. That was my old high school number, 14. It's a good number. It's in the state of Florida. Once you pay and you have no more obligations, I will go down with my mediator to fill out Form 14 with a receipt saying that I fulfilled my obligation. They call it a settlement of judgment. Settlement of judgment. Because you can't trust anybody. They might come after you. They might come after you. That's why I'm saying documentation is very important. Okay? And that's when I'm going to celebrate. I'll take my mediator out for a good dinner with the signature, go down to the courthouse. I'll probably do a video on it and say, look at this. Look at this. Once again, I fulfilled a contract, my integrity, that I'm a good man. Do you think my kids know this shit? Do you think my brothers and sisters know all the shit I had to go through the legal system? No. That's why I'm on YouTube doing this. Helping you people understand. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm just giving you a heads up. This is educational, and I hope it's motivational. I hope it's inspirational, and you're going to save a lot of fucking money. Okay? If you need to, you contact me. I will help you through this. Rock LaManna, your divorce strategist. So I'll talk to you soon. God bless you. Bring joy to yourself. I'll talk to you soon.